2015, the world saw the start of a Hollywood fairy tale. A famous singer loved by millions, a handsome actor loved by just as many. Two stars, two lives, crossing into one story. But here's the mystery. How did one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples fall apart after 9 years? They went from a $5 million ring to whispers of being borderline toxic. She became a mother, struggling with fading fame and cruel criticism. He became a frustrated actor, chasing roles that never came. And together, they began to drown inside the very love that once made them shine. Picture it. A Venice wedding that never happened. A tearful concert in Australia. Two lovers drifting into different worlds while still smiling for the cameras. Now ask yourself, if your partner was falling apart while chasing dreams, would you stay or would you walk away? Because across 9 long years, every fight, every silence, every secret was building to one moment. Stay till the end, because we will reveal the hidden truth Orlando carried. The one thing Katy could never forgive. It all began in 2015, at a Golden Globes after party. The room was filled with stars, but when Katy Perry locked eyes with Orlando Bloom, sparks flew instantly. It wasn't just small talk. It felt like destiny walking into the room. From that night forward, their connection grew stronger. By 2019, Orlando went down on one knee, holding a dazzling $5 million flower-shaped ring. In that single moment, the cameras flashed, the headlines screamed, and the internet exploded. Fans across the globe called them Hollywood's royal couple. Every photo, every smile, and every public kiss looked like the start of a perfect fairy tale. The world believed this love was untouchable. To the outside eye, it was magic. A superstar at the top of her fame, a movie star with endless charm, and soon, even a child on the way. But here's the truth. Perfect stories often hide cracks. Behind the sparkle of red carpets and the glow of Instagram posts, something quiet was beginning to stir. Could the weight of fame, the constant eyes, the endless pressure slowly begin to erode their bond? So the real question is this: what was the very first sign that this dream love story was not as perfect as it seemed? The first cracks in the fairy tale came not from distance, but from the spotlight itself. By 2020, Katy Perry was no longer just the smiling pop queen fans once adored. She was now the target of endless criticism. Every move, every word, every song picked apart by strangers online. And in 2021, the pressure reached its peak. After 7 seasons on American Idol, Katy made a shocking choice. She stepped down, not because she wanted to, but because the trolling, the hate, and the constant weight on her shoulders had finally crushed her spirit. But here's the twist. That hate didn't stop once the cameras turned off. It followed her home. Every night she carried that darkness into the place that was supposed to feel safe. And so Orlando Bloom became more than a partner. He became her anchor. The one person who had to pick her up after every fall. The one who had to keep reminding her she was still enough. But imagine this. Needing your partner to catch you every night, every time, without fail. Even the strongest hearts can grow tired. Orlando was supportive. He tried, but patience always has limits. So the question is, was Katy the only one falling apart, or was Orlando silently fighting his own demons too? But Katy wasn't the only one drowning. Behind the charm, behind the calm smile, Orlando Bloom was breaking too. For years, he hadn't had a major breakthrough film. No big roles, no spotlight, no victory to hold on to. Hollywood had moved on. The only thing keeping his name alive was rumors, like whispers of a possible Lord of the Rings sequel, but nothing real, nothing solid, nothing to prove he was still the star he once was. And when a man begins to question his worth, frustration grows. Those frustrations soon clashed with Katy's insecurities, her pain, his anger, her doubts, his silence. Instead of lifting each other up, they began to drag each other down. Conversations turned into arguments. Dreams turned into blame. Love turned into a constant war inside their own home. It was no longer the story of two stars shining together. It was the story of two people losing themselves, fighting battles they could not win. And here's the chilling question. What happens when both partners are breaking down at the same time? The answer was clear. When two people are both breaking, love turns into a cycle of bickering. By 2022 to 2023, that cycle became their new normal. Every small disagreement grew into an endless argument. Every silence carried the weight of things left unsaid. And then came the storms. In 2023, Katy released her comeback album, 143. But instead of cheers, it sparked controversy. All because of her work with producer Dr. Luke, a man surrounded by scandals. The backlash was brutal. The online hate returned, sharper than before. And when she tried to escape the noise by chasing a dream, flying with Blue Origin into space, the reaction was the same. More criticism, more trolling, more pain. At home, the weight was crushing. For years, Orlando had been her shoulder to lean on. But by now, even his patience was gone. Support turned into resentment. Comfort turned into exhaustion. The glamorous couple that once lit up red carpets was now trapped in a toxic loop. A loop that no love song or romantic gesture could fix. And so the question became darker. How did private tension finally explode into public distance? By the time 2024 arrived, the fairy tale was only a shadow of what it once was. Insiders revealed a chilling truth. Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom were living under the same roof, but barely speaking. Some weeks, not a single real conversation passed between them. They were not partners anymore. They were strangers, sharing walls, but not a life. At night, Katy sat with her loneliness, feeling the silence echo louder than any insult ever could. She longed for connection, for comfort, for the man who once promised her forever. But Orlando, he felt something different. He felt free, no longer trapped in the endless cycle of consoling and carrying, no longer burdened by a love that had turned into weight. This was not a divorce. This was worse. It was the deadliest silence, a slow death of a love story, where no fight remained, no passion survived, only emptiness. The world still saw a glamorous couple, but inside their home, they were two souls drifting further apart with every passing day. And the question now burned brighter than ever. What public scandal finally turned this silence into a total break? The silence might have stayed hidden, but then came the night that changed everything. Jeff Bezos' wedding in Venice, May 2024. The world's richest man was celebrating love on a grand stage. But instead of romance, the cameras captured a scandal. In the middle of the party, Orlando Bloom was photographed cozying up to actress Sydney Sweeney. Moments later, he was seen hugging Katy's close friend, Jamie Mizrahi. All smiles, all charm, with no sign of the woman he once promised forever. For Katy Perry, this wasn't just another headline. It was humiliation, a public wound, a betrayal that the entire world could see with its own eyes. For Orlando, he brushed it off as just fun. But to everyone else, friends, insiders, even reporters, his actions screamed something else. They called it reckless and insensitive. What was once private silence now exploded into public betrayal. And that cut deeper than any argument, deeper than any fight. Because now the world wasn't guessing anymore. The world saw the cracks for itself. So how did Katy show the world her heartbreak for the very first time? The breaking point came on June 30th, 2024 in Australia. On stage under the bright lights, Katy Perry lifted her hands to make a heart for her fans. But before she could sing Firework, the tears began to fall. Her voice cracked. Her pain was no longer hidden. It was raw, visible, and undeniable. The crowd cheered to lift her spirits, but Katy was already broken. This wasn't just a performance. It was a confession of heartbreak, and the timing, cruel. Because the same week, Orlando Bloom was posting Instagram quotes about new beginnings. Two worlds. One mourning the death of a love story. The other is celebrating freedom. Fans could see it. One was still fighting for love. The other had already walked away. And so the final question remained. What was the one secret Orlando carried that Katy could never forgive? The truth was never really hidden. It had been there from the start. Orlando's flirty nature. For years, Katy looked past it. She told herself it was harmless. She convinced herself love was stronger than temptation. But by 2024, the mask fell. What once stayed in whispers now played out in the open, at parties, at weddings, in front of flashing cameras. Friends later admitted the painful truth. This was the silent poison in their love story all along. It wasn't just the scandals. It wasn't just the backlash. It was the years of hidden cracks finally breaking wide open. And so the fairy tale did not end with a single explosion. It ended with a slow burn, a love story consumed from within, one spark at a time. What lesson can the world learn from a love story that looked perfect, but turned toxic? In the end, fame, money, and luxury could not save a love without trust. What the world saw as a dream was really a silent collapse. Love didn't die from absence. It died from no growth, no respect, and no faith. Katy's tears versus Orlando's new beginnings. A Hollywood fairy tale turned borderline toxic. So ask yourself, would you endure years of cracks for love, or walk away sooner? Katy may be broken now, but insiders say she is finally free. Because true love is never about the ring, the parties, or the fame. It's about respect. Subscribe for more untold stories where the truth behind the glamour finally comes out. And tell us, should Katy forgive Orlando, or was leaving him the only choice?